Okay,
एक मिनट हाँ.
all right. So, are you ready or? Okay. So, hello and welcome to the first podcast of Shashwat Mulgun. And actually, this podcast is an experimental series by me to test my communication skills and the consistency in uploading videos on YouTube. So, first of all, to test communication skills, it is best to have discussion with strangers and uh, with people basically. And the topic for today's podcast is actually mental health. So, why mental health? First of all, because in the times of today, with the pandemic going on and the lockdown going on, it has been a toll on people's health. And since a person who has been through all types of therapies and counseling since I was a kid, it would I wanted to just ask someone who has been through a similar situation whether it is really that worth it and is it that helpful. So, as the guest of this podcast, we have Deeksha Sinha from SCMC. So, welcome Deeksha to the podcast. So, how are you? And please tell us a bit about yourself.
So hi Shashwat. First of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to
My
speak
pleasure.
about mental well-being
Yeah, my
because
pleasure.
I believe I am a proponent of positive mental
Yeah.
well-being and all. So I am basically in my third year. I am doing bachelor's in mass communication in Symbiosis, Pune. And well,
Cindy,
yeah, जिंदगी चल
SID.
रही है.
SID. Cindy.
Nice, nice. Cindy squad.
Cindy
तो
squad.
हाँ बस जिंदगी चल रही है.
Mast.
And well, yeah, that is that.
It's just to dive right into the podcast, right? So, Deeksha, what is mental health for you on a vague scale, sort of? Like पहले rough एक discuss कर लेते हैं.
So I feel mental well-being for me is the very will to get out of bed every single day. It
Wow.
is because well I have been struggling with that for a really long time, and
Right.
कभी कभी अगर मतलब if I manage to get out of bed on time and do my work, it is basically the ability to function, do basic
Uh-huh.
simple tasks in a way
Right.
that it does not seem like it's a burden,
Right.
right? So yeah.
Okay, so I mean, about me, my mental health is to basically stay stable and calm because I have a very huge case of anxiety. Because anxiety, and I mean, uh, the worst part about anxiety in me is like I get hyper as hell. Like, it's but then things like basketball and cooking and just going like just doing the things that calm me down was my definition of mental health, right? So just a second, I'm just opening the points that I had sent you. Just a, yeah. So first of so I mean uh, we both have had our struggles in life and we have gone through a major phase of depression, right? So uh, how do you normal like in your I mean from your point of view, how do you come to know that you are depressed or someone else is in depression?
Okay, so for me, again, like I said, and I think I'm going to keep enforcing this all throughout this
Yeah.
session, it's basic willpower, okay? The
Right.
willingness. So, I it has taken me a long time to first of all accept for myself that okay, there is something called depression, number one, because people around us, especially the elder generation, they completely dismiss this.
Right.
And when somebody who if a person who has guided you all throughout your life, and they have nurtured you, they have helped you grow up, if they are dismissing it, then you don't see any ground to keep thinking कि नहीं मुझे problem है, क्योंकि वो तो अगर बोल रहे कि नहीं ये कोई problem है ही नहीं, then it seems like you're overthinking.
Right.
But you know with time you understand कि यार मेरे आसपास मेरे जो colleagues हैं वो तो आगे बढ़े जा रहे हैं, but what is it that is hindering my growth?
Right.
And when I think deeper into it, it's not, ऐसा नहीं है कि I don't have say कि मुझे पढ़ाई करने का मन नहीं है, इट्स नॉट दैट. आई नो दैट आई एम अ गुड स्टूडेंट, ओके,
Hmm.
और आई नो दैट मेरे में टैलेंट है. सो आई हैव अदर थिंग्स, मेरे हाथ में अदर रिसोर्सेज, आई हैव द अदर रिसोर्सेज इन माई हैंड, बट द मोस्ट बेसिक थिंग इज मिसिंग, which
Right.
is the willpower. It's
Exactly.
empty. So it basically feels like कि मुझे अंदर करने की इच्छा है, deep within me I want to grow, yes. And on the superficial level, yes, I know how to do that work, but
Right.
it somehow comes to the throat and it gets stuck ki yaar, and how do I get that activity, that willingness out, because it's not there, that space is empty.
Right.
And when that space is empty, you just, it's like bhai क्यों करना है, क्या करना है,
Hmm.
everybody is going to die, what is the point? So
Right.
yeah, and that keeps happening again and again and again. And then people have their different defense mechanisms to deal with it. My defense mechanism was sleeping. I slept like sleeping beauty.
Yeah.
College attendance, तो college attendance का तो मतलब, then I had to, well, I've been trying to manage it, and I mean,
Damn.
it's all a process. Healing is a process, so you
Yeah.
cannot expect
Exactly.
anything to happen over.
Yeah.
So yeah, you will, again, it's just that ki, to do even the most basic tasks like
Hmm.
brushing,
Yeah.
you have to bargain with yourself
Right.
कि करना है नहीं करना है, नहीं नहीं कर ही लेते, नहीं नहीं करना नहीं है, नहीं नहीं नहीं, मतलब क्या करें. If you
किसको
want to
इम्प्रेस
go to
करना
the
है
bathroom,
अल्टीमेटली.
एग्जैक्टली किसके लिए करना है, क्या जरूरत है, देन से
Yeah.
यू हैव टू, सपोज यू वांट टू गो टू पी, इट्स लाइक कि भाई जाऊं कि नहीं जाऊं, अच्छा अगर नहीं जाऊं तो व्हाट आर द कॉन्स, ओके मे बी इट्स बैड फॉर माय हेल्थ, अच्छा बट जाऊं तो क्या है, ठीक है. मतलब देर इज दिस कांस्टेंट
Right.
बार्गेनिंग. दे
Yeah.
यू आर डिवाइडेड इनटू टू यूज.
Hmm.
वन यू इज लाइक कि करो करो, द अदर वन इज लाइक जरूरत नहीं है यार, कोई मतलब नहीं है. And this happens throughout the day, every
Yeah.
single day of the week, every week of the month, and that really takes a lot out of you.
So Deeksha, I wanted to ask you, like, this bargaining, right, at a point, does it come because you have faced failure at a point of time? Like there is that one triggering failure and you are like, yeah, वापस से fail हो गई तो. So like, is the bargaining related to that to a certain extent is what I feel like. So I want your opinion on that.
It's true, and I again feel it depends from person to person. What, जैसा मैं मेरे डिप्रेशन को डिफाइन कर रही हूँ, ऐसा
Hmm.
जरूरी नहीं है कि किसी और का डेफिनेशन भी सेम हो. बट लाइक यू सेड, इट इज to some extent, yes, it is related to a major failure, an example of a failure that you have faced in your life, and you don't want that to repeat again because it is going to hinder
Yeah.
your career, your growth, your personal growth,
Right.
etc. But there is also this thing, FOMO, कि
Hmm.
यार everybody is doing all these simple things around me, इतना चुटकी में. I have friends, they survive on like 4 to 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And I remember one day I was having like a random conversation with my friend, and out of nowhere, because she was explaining her routine कि मैं यहाँ गई, मैं वहाँ गई, फिर मैंने ये काम किया, वो काम किया. Then I asked her कि listen यार, how तुम कितने घंटे सोती हो? And she was surprised. She was like, ये कहाँ से आया, ये context क्या है इसका? Then I was
Yeah.
like, no, I just want. And she's like कि
Exactly.
4 से 5 घंटे. So then I'm like, भाई, and I felt so inferior to her. So there is also
Yeah.
this कि यार इंसान एक जगह 4 से 5 घंटे करके इतना कुछ कर ले रहा है, and I am needing like say 10 to 13 hours of sleep straight even to do one simple assignment. So
Oh.
it's that sense of feeling left out, that sense of failure, कि मेरे से नहीं हो रहा है.
Hmm.
And I try every day, but I fail every day. So that thing is there.
Right. I mean, like Deeksha, I mean, you are like the completely opposite of me because I am a person who is like Dennis Rodman. He's a very popular basketball player, and he like during his prime years, like he, if you have heard about the Chicago Bulls winning the title 6 times. So in the second three-peat when Jordan retired, appeared back into basketball after baseball. He was there with Jordan and the team, right? So what he used to do is that man used to work out after the game also, and he was hyper. So to calm himself down, he used to do that. So I am that guy. we are. I mean, I like that we are
It
polar
changes from
opposites.
person to person.
Yeah, I mean,
It
of
really,
course.
I know a lot of people, and even in my closest friend circles, to keep their mind distracted from the disturbance that they are constantly facing,
Hmm.
they always keep themselves busy in work.
Right.
You will never see them sitting or having no work. They are always doing something or the other.
Yeah.
So that is also one thing. And for me, भाई मेरे से काम शुरू कराओ. मतलब मुझे काम करना है, काम तो कराओ please. I beg
Right.
my body, I beg my mind, please just do it.
Oh, no, but then like what I feel right about the sleeping and all that you said, um, like when you are lazy, right? Like if you must have heard of this proverb that that a lazy mind is the devil's workshop, sort of.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I mean, don't you have like any negative thoughts while you sleep and like because that proverb kind of keeps me going that if I sleep or
See, that is,
stay like very
yes.
less active and all, so I am like in this like that is why sometimes I have like uh, like nightmares every single time I sleep, so that kind of
Mm-hmm.
proverb keeps me going sort of sometimes. So like what is it
Mm-hmm.
in your case that keeps you like chalo main aaj so jati hu and situation.
So that is the thing. That there is, this is the basic difference between being lazy and being depressed and anxious. Because whenever I'm laying, I don't feel any matlab, I don't get any evil thoughts. I'm always feeling something like क्या करूं, नहीं हो रहा है मतलब क्या, why am I laying down, why am I laying down. So it's basically my depression and the anxiety playing together with my body and then tiring me out,
Right.
right? So it's basically that emptiness,
Hmm.
that missing link which is not there, that will help me get out of bed, right? There is the anxiety which is constantly pushing me to at least get out of bed, but the depression is heavy, so it won't let me get out of bed. So it's basically a tug of war. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like कि ठीक है, अभी मैं थोड़ा, let me just rest for a while because my mind is all over the place. I will take a nap for a while and then I will get up so that I have a fresh mind. This is basically like a
Postponement.
gimmick, uh, constant procrastination that keeps going on and on. And
Yeah.
well, rest is history.
Oh, because like I, because like it is the main thing with my mom, right? Whenever I say something that okay, I'm going to do this later, mom is like pissed, like why are you postponing it? And like, and for example, if that thing doesn't happen in real life, all hell breaks loose in the house because of the same. So, but then like other
अरे
than
मुझे भी मतलब,
हाँ बोलो
I've
बोलो.
even my mom, matlab, my mom has also, I've received a lot of backlash from my mom for not doing the work on time and for
Yeah.
delaying it, for forgetting to do the work.
Right.
So एक तो मैं हुई थोड़ा बहुत absent minded, उसके ऊपर से dealing with this kind of unwillingness to do anything, so
Yeah.
that takes a toll.
Because like what is okay, but then like other than sleeping, what are your coping mechanisms to overcome that depression and anxiety that you do normally?
Coping mechanisms. So I'll tell you one thing. Uh, I did not have any coping mechanisms other than sleeping, which was a big
Oh,
problem.
okay,
So, and I told this to my therapist. My therapist asked me the same question. He, listen, do you have any other coping
okay.
mechanisms?
And
I told
I'm
her
sorry to
no.
interrupt you in between, but was the therapist
Hmm.
in Sindhi or back in Kolkata?
Simbi, Simbi.
Okay.
Yes. So,
हाँ यूट्यूब पे जाने वाला है ना
yes.
तो खामा खा उनका ये नहीं करना.
So she asked me, ki, listen, do you have any other coping mechanism other than sleeping? And तब it struck me कि भाई कुछ भी नहीं है मेरा coping mechanism other than sleeping.
Yeah.
So and so then she told me कि listen, you sing and all, so you will have to come up with a different coping mechanism, maybe through singing or doing something else, cycling, कुछ भी. तो अभी फिलहाल my coping mechanism basically is कि sometimes I sing, मतलब जोर जोर से चिल्ला चिल्ला के I sing. That is one thing. Yeah, I randomly
बेसिकली
start
रणबीर
singing.
कपूर बन जाता है रॉक स्टार का.
Exactly.
नादान
And
परिंदे में ऐसा
नादान
गिटार लेके
परिंदे.
चिल्लाता है वो.
एकदम. That is a relief sometimes.
Yeah.
Then sometimes I also draw squares and lines. That
Oh
is one
wow.
thing. I can keep drawing squares on a paper for, I don't know, 2 3 hours straight.
Wow.
Matlab, this is one of the most weirdest, one of the weirdest, I don't know, mechanisms ever. But if you like come over to my place, you see, if you go through my notebooks, you will keep seeing squares and lines all across
Wow.
the edges of the pages. And
Yeah. I mean,
apparently, that's like a textbook
yeah,
sign
it's.
of anxiety.
Mhm.
So, but
I
okay,
mean, like,
it helps with
yeah,
sleeping.
because even I used to do the same. Like, whenever I used to get anxious, right, I used to draw
Mm.
some patterns with the ruled lines that are there in the book sometimes, like
Patterns, yes.
standing lines and then sleeping and then just color one part, sort of.
Yes, yes,
And
yes, exactly. Bilkul.
yeah, because and in the long run, it also helped me because it boosted my creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And design student है तो वो तो obvious ही था.
Very nice, nice.
Yeah,
मेरे को
because
भी whenever I feel, even as a way of relaxation, I draw lines. It's
yeah.
weird, but that is what I do. I put up some lines on my wall also, कि वो देख के
Wow.
मुझे आराम आए.
सही है. नहीं, but then other than that, okay, so ये depression is one part. But other than that, if you get angry and you are fumed up, like अभी एक चीज का घूसा मारना है या कुछ करना है, so during that time, what is your coping mechanism?
Okay. So first of all, it is very rare in my life that I have gotten that angry.
हाँ हाँ.
And I feel one of the reasons is that I am the elder sister. So all
Oh,
elder sisters are supposed to be,
I mean it. Isn't
cool
it
headed.
contrary? Because
No,
कभी
I
कभी
do
like
not think.
no, because like in the majority stories that I have heard, I have seen that elder sisters always show the dominance.
See, dominance एक चीज है कि ठीक है तुम्हारे पास अथॉरिटी है,
हाँ
बट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट टेम्पर.
हाँ.
क्योंकि
Okay.
नो ऐसा है कि my sister has like a very very high temper. Okay,
Okay.
so then I have to assert my dominance without by speaking and not by, मतलब मुझे गुस्सा कम आता है, but yes,
Okay.
whenever I am angry, my anger is bad, but you see, I do have control over my anger. So
Yeah.
what I do, very recently I got really really angry because I was working with a team,
हाँ.
and one of the members, they were basically getting onto my nerves.
Of
Okay.
course.
Yeah, so what I did, and I live with my friend, she's my roommate here.
हाँ हाँ.
So what I did was, both of us were working on our laptops in the bedroom. ठीक है,
Hmm.
तो so what happened was, अब मैं उसका उस टीम मेंबर का मैसेज आया मेरे पास, and I was like, what the hell is this? ठीक है, then I came out of the bedroom, I
If
locked
you
her
want to
inside.
abuse, you can abuse. चिल मार edit होने वाला है.
well, ठीक है, I'm trying to reduce your मेहनत on the post
हाँ
production, no? ठीक है.
ठीक है, आई मीन चलेगा, उतना भी कुछ सीन नहीं है.
So, yeah, so I came out of the bedroom, I locked her inside, okay? And
वाओ.
हमारे घर में खाली प्लास्टिक के बॉटलें हैं, तो मैंने एक प्लास्टिक का बॉटल लिया और धाम 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 I banged that bottle against the wall and the door.
वाओ.
That is what I do.
वाओ.
Yeah.
That's something. Because मैं जब गुस्सा होता हूँ मेरे अंदर का कराटे किड ब्रूस ली बाहर आ जाता है पूरा. Because while growing up, right, my dad also had like a huge temper issue, and फिर हम दोनों के बीच में बॉक्सिंग मैच होता था, माइक टायसन और ये सब, that level sort of. And my dad has shown me Rocky every single time, and it is like basically mixing hydrochloric acid and H2SO4 concentrated form में, and boom ऐसा बड़ा का आता है. And on top of that he had given me boxing gloves and a
अच्छा.
punching bag. So
Oh.
it was, so I have got so much into fist fights that like at a point I'm like I need to stop this. So now what I do is I just shadow box, and अगर मौका मिले तो सीधा जाओ बास्केटबॉल खेलो. So I
हाँ.
mean like, I mean of course, but then other than that, have you ever got into alcohol or anything to calm down?
No, I have tried, but it did not work. And it is the greatest question in my life to this date, that whoever does it, how is it that they can calm themselves down, because
It
I've tried and it did not quite help.
can't
Plus,
clear.
I am clinically not supposed to have
Oh,
drugs and
oh,
all because I have epilepsy.
oh,
So that is
okay.
one thing.
I mean,
Abhi, I
I'm
just
sorry
last
to,
year.
I mean, I'm sorry to like ask you, but being a noob, I don't know that much about epilepsy. So can you please describe it here in brief so that other people who don't know also get to know about it?
So epilepsy basically is you fall unconscious, your
Oh,
eyes roll upwards, and
oh,
you get
okay,
seizures basically. तुम्हारे हाथ पैर
okay.
कांपते रहते हैं, and you have no
Oh,
sense of what's going on.
so
So when
basically
you
the
get,
fits and all, like ऐसे बीच में
yes,
वो
the
ऐसे
fits.
हिलते रहते हैं.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
that,
yes. So
okay,
that.
because that.
So I got officially diagnosed last year only, October
Oh,
में,
October.
very recent.
Baap re.
So,
So I mean,
but yeah, otherwise,
but I mean, it's a good thing that you are able to like maintain yourself, and you are active also in most of the parts. So like, hats off to you, dude. Nice, amazing.
अब चला रहे हैं जितना हो रहा है जिंदगी में, बस और क्या.
Okay, so moving on to the next point, right? It is a very sensitive point, and I mean, for many of those people who have lost their close ones to suicide, I'm extremely sorry, first of all. But Deeksha, what do you think leads to suicide? Like, क्या इतना catastrophic हो जाता है दिमाग में? Like, you just feel like ending it.
See, first of all, I would say कि I am not in the position to make any remarks
Hmm.
on this, because I will never know. Or actually, there was a time when I myself was suicidal, and trigger warning, I was like standing right at the edge of the terrace of my
Oh,
apartments. Mm,
I'm
but that
sorry,
was
but
once, and I stepped back, and again, I so actually I will never know. I feel it's just, when you are all empty on the inside, you feel the burden is heavier. Okay,
right,
because you don't have the energy in you to keep carrying the burden that keeps coming onto you.
exactly.
So I feel that could be one of the reasons, but again, like I said, I am not in the position to say what is it that could lead to such catastrophes. And I hope that it does not happen
Yeah,
to anybody.
because like in my case, right, means my brother told me this sentence once, that it takes at least 85 million lives to form a human. Like, and at like, I mean, about it was some biology thing, and I mean, I forget the name of that term, but it takes 85 million lives to get a human form. So that kind of kept me going, like इतना सब है यार, तो फिर क्यों जान गंवानी है? नहीं हो रहा है तो थोड़ा रुको, and just then move on, and you can start afresh. And even if people judge you, right, you are not their priority ultimately. They are their own priority. You are your own priority. So
True.
that kind of kept me going, that if I ever think of committing suicide or something, I'm like, no, 85 million lives hoti hai, just beware and just move on after taking a break, sort of. But then, like, also, like, one more thing, right? Like, when the Sushant Singh Rajput case happened, when he committed suicide, my mom, like, I was discussing it with my mom, and she said that um, even if a call like 2 seconds before the suicide rings, like, hey Sushant, I need you to get to on set, he would have not done that. So, and also, suicide has is related with a lot of depression from the inside. So, can you think of any ways to um, notice to get noticed, like if someone in your vicinity is having those kind of intentions, so do you have any ways to notice that kind of कि यार इसका कुछ तो झोल है, and he is trying to do something bad to himself? So is there something that we can do about it? So what do you think,
I
like,
feel
how
first
can
of all, the most important aspect here is empathy and understanding. You have
right.
to be empathetic enough and understanding enough to see what is going on around you in your environment, in your circle. Okay. And you will have to, every person has different ways of shutting themselves out from
Hmm.
their friends, from their society. But
Yeah.
and you should keep very close note of how reclusive they are becoming, because I know that all of us, for a time being, we need a short time where we need to be with ourselves, where we are tired of social interaction. ठीक है, तो we need some alone time, me time, वो सब है.
Yeah.
But if that
Yeah.
keeps going on for too long, and if you see that that person is losing interest even in the things that they used to be fond of earlier, then one must really look into it. Why they should be talked to. People
Hmm.
should ask them kya chal raha hai. Their close friends must ask them.
Right.
So yeah, that is what I feel.
Right. Okay, but I mean, that was like the best advice that anyone could give, and hope people follow this advice who are watching this video and kind of prevent the suicide. And I mean, yeah, it was like, I know it's a sensitive topic, but it had to be addressed kind of, because during the pandemic, especially when people are locked in their doors and a lot of crap is happening with them, such as losing jobs and like many problems are happening, someone like, there should be some advice given so that at least losing their life will be prevented. So, so moving on, the main part of this podcast, the counseling part. So, Deeksha, you and
Mm.
I mean, I saw your video with Tahira ma'am on the YouTube channel of Simbasis Center of Emotional Wellbeing, and in
Mm-hmm.
that you had mentioned that you have been to counselors. same as with me. I have been to counselor since I was a kid because I had the part of learning disability, and basically I was a tertial safari back in the day. So,
Okay.
first of all, I want to talk about the accessibility of such services because you and I mean, we can get access a bit easily as compared to other classes in the society for these kind of
Mm-hmm.
services. So,
Mm-hmm.
how did it start for you? Like, at what age did you start counseling, and how did it go?
Okay. So for me, my school had counseling,
Okay,
and I'd also say, yeah, counselors were available in my schools. Number one. Number two, also my schools. So basically, the teachers in my school, I would say they were very understanding. And
mm-hmm.
for one, they knew that I had issues going on because
Yeah,
I had already informed, once again, not being able to irregular attendance, not being able to submit work on time. So when that repeatedly starts happening, of course, teachers make notice. Okay. And so the teachers noticed it themselves, and after I informed one of the teachers, they noticed it themselves. And one of the teachers, even though she was not a counselor, she, somewhat sat with, took me aside and spoke to me. So that was there.
hmm.
Apart from that, we also had another counselor who was like the official counselor. So
Okay,
it I did not go to her regularly, but
mm-hmm.
occasionally, yes, she was there to speak to me, to
Right.
understand. That is one thing. And then when I came to college, I had heard a lot of times कि हाँ we have
So, I guess, the
college
counseling. Yeah,
college में counseling.
yeah, yeah. So, first of all, I guess you had the thing in
So
school.
college में आके I heard. So when I came to college, uh, I they said a lot about how there is an emotional well-being center and all. So
Right.
that was there, that they keep reminding us कि how there is a center here. And हमारा जो हमारे आई थिंक ओरिएंटेशन वाले डे में भी उन्होंने बताया था कि they have this emotional well-being center, you can approach anytime, send mail, whatever. So basically पुणे में आके मेरी जो हालत है वो और थोड़ी खराब होने लगी,
Hmm.
because it's a new place, new
Yeah.
people, new city, you feel out of the place.
Right.
ठीक है, समझ में नहीं आता है क्या करना है. And you also feel थोड़ा बहुत कि यार I don't belong to this place, it's not my place to be in, as if I used to keep feeling all these things. And
Right.
that kind of sort of kicked in the major depressive episode, you can say.
Right.
ठीक है. And eventually I had to I decided कि I think it's time I should seek for professional help.
Hmm.
And even though what happened was कि I was मतलब I had to send a mail to the well-being center, but I was taking a lot of time, I was procrastinating कि करूँ नहीं करूँ. Again that bargaining thing came कि यार अभी
Right.
अभी जाऊंगी तो कब जाऊंगी, कॉलेज है, कब टाइम मिलेगा, ये वो बेसिकली बहाना.
Hmm.
My one side is like कि जाओ, my other side is कि like कि नहीं, बहाना बना रहे हैं नहीं जाने का. ठीक है.
Hmm.
And I also spoke to my friends and I told them, listen, I want to go, but I don't feel like it. But my condition is not that good. So my friend spoke to another of my friend here in Pune, and they eventually forced me. They literally wrote a mail for me and tapped on
Wow.
the send button,
Wow.
and that is how it started. So yeah, I'm
Oh,
thankful to my friends for
that's nice.
pushing me like this.
Mm-hmm. Because in
That
my
is
case,
really nice.
wow. Because in my case, I was like at the brink because like low performance and then jagade, being called a creep and all that stuff. It led me to kind of get into a self intervention कि यार where the fuck am I going wrong. So I'm like यार अभी तो मेल भेजना पड़ेगा. Send वेंड कुछ नहीं भेज देते हैं. But the thing is in my case मेल का रिप्लाई कब आया मालूम है 7 दिन बाद.
Yes, that is true. मेरे केस में भी ऐसा ही था. उस टाइम they were not very prompt in responding.
Yeah.
Actually, I had sent one mail before जिसका response कभी आया ही नहीं. ठीक है.
Wow.
तो उसके बाद then I told my friends कि भाई ऐसा है, मेरे को अभी कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, ये नहीं है. Then they forcefully made me send a second mail which my friend wrote in front of me and sent it. So that
Wow.
happened.
Wow. That is
That is there.
something. That is something because what I feel personally, right? This college ka counseling situation is kind of bad at keeping sessions, right? Because you are a bunch of like 2000 students crammed in one campus, and on top of that, you have like say 40 counselors all across Hindi. So, I mean, like response आने तक कुछ भी हो सकता है
True, true, so true.
because
And
and
I mean, it is very understaffed, I believe.
yeah.
And on one side, the overall campus is, advocating about mental well-being and all. But
Hmm.
on the other side, we can see that it's literally just one. Viman Nagar mein, it's like one counselor for three
I
campuses,
mean, yeah, like four
three
people.
institutions.
Yeah, three institutions. Yeah, in one campus, and then law का तो उल्टा ही scene है. They have like two, three counselors sitting over there, and they have like four institutes in one fucking building. And in our this thing, it is three
Hmm.
buildings and only one counselor. I'm like, ये क्या है यार? And
हाँ, अभी मैंने रिसेंटली सुना कि दे ऑल्सो हमारे कैंपस में दे ऑल्सो हैव अ साइकाइट्रिस्ट नाउ. सो आई फील दैट इज
yeah,
गुड.
yeah.
बट या, इट
But
इज
the thing,
इम्पोर्टेंट. हाँ, गो ऑन.
like yeah, I mean you continue first because psychiatrist though is there because like right. So it is like very understaffed, dude. Like, it's I mean in my and if you know the Samida Raut situation, she was your senior, right, in SCMC.
या आई नो.
She committed suicide in the hostel, if you
या, आई
remember.
वाज देयर इन द हॉस्टल.
Oh, I mean,
आई हैड स्पोकन टू हर like a couple of days ago when that happened.
damn. And I mean, like, okay, so coming, I mean, bringing back some points from the suicidal part, right? What did you notice in her that, I mean, did you notice anything specific in her that she might do something like that?
No, it was highly unexpected. She was very jolly and talkative.
Now, this brings me to a point where the queue has a part called call during an emergency. I'm like, what is an emergency for you guys in the first place? Right. See, I mean, uh, by this you will mean, I mean, I don't want you to think by this that I am against you or something like that. They are doing good work, but somewhere or the other, कुछ ना कुछ तो खटक रहा है. In
Hmm.
their like what in their case is what is emergency in their point of view, right? Because it can be a very tiny thing that can accelerate and lead to something bad, or it can be something huge that is like okay, this is emergency. And I mean in
I
that case,
mean, I feel one thing I will say, although I am not supporting any side, I'm just a neutral
yeah,
person here, and this
exactly,
is my completely neutral perspective.
yeah,
Ki, seeking help is the major part of seeking help, the major responsibility is our own individual responsibility,
right,
you know. And you have to take that step. And I have noticed that it's not like, suppose if you have one session,
Hmm.
वो therapy session के बाद you are asked to go and follow up.
Yeah.
It's not like कि they will come
Hmm.
for follow up.
Right.
So that is one thing. Now I don't know if that is what is supposed to happen, if that is the way counseling happens.
Hmm.
But yeah, so and what happens, it is from the individual side sometimes. For example, even in my case, I don't always feel like following up, because I'm like कि यार, again that thing is not there, and
Right.
I have to again bargain and struggle a lot to seek help, seek an appointment, ye wo. So
Because in
I
their
feel
case,
that
consistency is the key. And
yes.
what I feel is, because I have been to other counselors, like private counselors other than college, right? So I mean, even if they used to charge that kind of a hefty sum, like 800 per hour is a lot, first of all. So what they used to do is they used to write in their diary that at this time on this date you have your next follow up session, and they used to make it
Hmm.
a point to call on that day. Like,
Hmm.
they kind of feel that you are a part of their counseling, and they feel that you should live and sort of like be mentally well prepared. But in,
Hmm.
like, after coming to Simbi and registering for their services, it kind of felt like a government scheme where you have to come on your own, follow up, lena hai to lo, nahi to mat lo. That sort of situation is what I feel. So I mean, I want to know your opinion in that case.
So again, see, my opinion is, first of all, I am honestly thankful
Yeah.
to my counselor and
Yeah,
school.
even I am thankful to a
And
certain extent.
I come from a background where I cannot afford civil counselors. So
Right.
for me, college therapy was the only choice. Even back at school, school therapy was the only choice.
Hmm.
ठीक है, because again you have elders who do not believe in ये क्या होता है, ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. So
Huh.
they are not willing to spend on these aspects.
Right.
um Second of all, again, like how I said, कि, there has to be some a definite system of follow up, because I mean, I don't know, but I don't know how this is supposed to actually work. Is the patient supposed to go and get regularly checked, go for follow up, or is the doctor supposed to come to the patient, ask what is going on? Sometimes the patient goes to the doctor, in normal cases, in the physiological cases. Sometimes,
Yeah.
अगर पेशेंट की हालत उतनी बुरी है तो डॉक्टर खुद ही आकर चेक करता है.
Hmm.
ठीक है. So yeah, that is there. I feel the main problem here is that they are heavily understaffed, and
Yeah.
because they are heavily understaffed, they cannot take the extra pain of following up their clients.
Yeah.
So that thing is there. Abhi you
Right.
have a psychiatrist, which is good, but counselor kidhar hai? We need more counselors.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Damn. I mean, because I mean, the understaffed situation, right? Like when you have an emergency situation that you are dealing with, and uh, if the count, like in my case it had happened like when I was in first year, and like end of the first year I had something going on, and I just called a Kaira mom, and she was also like, what is an emergency in this, like this is not an emergency that you are calling for, right? I'm like, wait, it might not be an emergency in your case, but in my case it is. So if you are trying to look from my point of view, then you have to look from your point of view, right? Like, you should not look from your point of view every single time. Like,
Hmm.
I completely understand that you are a human and you have thousands of students to look after and give them the sessions, and it's a tough job basically. But like, you can't demean someone's emergency situation as a very basic one, and one such that is handleable by that person who is affected. right? So
Hmm.
that kind of triggered me once, and I'm like, wait, there is something fishy going on. So
Hmm.
that was
Hmm.
kind of my trigger point. But yeah, I mean, like, first of all, symbiosis, if you are taking like such kind of hefty fees, and you are spreading mental health, there is this irony that is seen among y'all,
Hmm.
that y'all are understaffed, and it's okay that y'all are humans and you can't take so much pain after. And they also have this thing that you can't call us after service hours for emergencies. You can call if it is like an extreme emergency, like like what I mean, another point, right? In the case of Samida Raut, that you had said that it is very unexpected that she committed suicide and all. What about that? The emergency वहाँ पे, like, and just imagine, like, अभी counselor बोल रहा है कि नहीं, it is not an emergency, so you will feel all the more depressed and something catastrophic can happen. So
Hmm.
that is where I feel that skew mark खा रहा है,
Hmm.
right?
True.
So, like, are you like agreeing with this? Like, to a certain extent, they are humans and they should of course grow more, but I
Hmm.
mean, they, that is something to look upon actually.
I
So
mean, in your case, yes, I agree with you.
yeah,
क्योंकि doesn't make sense.
yeah.
Absolutely does not make sense.
Hmm.
Hmm. In my personal experience, I have not gone through something like this. I remember the first time when I had an epilepsy attack was
Okay,
in 2020.
right.
So
And
I was
2020,
living with,
like, pandemic, or the
of course,
pre-pandemic?
pandemic.
Oh,
Pandemic,
okay.
pandemic.
Acha, okay.
I think May, sometime around May.
I mean, that was
So
like the huge lockdown gap.
yes, yes, उस time तो peak lockdown में था सब कुछ.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
So yeah, where that was the first time I had my epilepsy attack. So my uncle and auntie, they first informed my parents, and my mom knew that I was undergoing therapy. So my mom immediately contacted Taira ma'am,
Yeah,
and when I regained consciousness, she contacted me, and then the news went to Girija. Girija also contacted me, and they told me to keep in touch, and they were like, if there is any more emergency, let us know. So that
yeah.
was my example.
Okay.
So yeah,
But
turns out
other
we have.
than that epilepsy attack, right? Did you ever call up Tyra ma'am that you were feeling this depressed, or like you were very anxious or lonely or something?
Never.
Oh, okay. But then, like, did it really help you during the college days to survive? Like,
See,
were you able to implement the advices that were offered by them?
for me, I feel for some reason they give me very simple advices. Okay. And sometimes more than the complicated ways to untie knots, the simple ones work. Okay. For
Yeah.
example, there was one time when I had a session with her when I was back in my hometown, Kolkata. Okay, and
Hmm.
I told her that my condition is not good at all. There I मतलब एक दिन में मेरे कम से कम 12 बार तो मूड वेरिएशंस ही होते रहते हैं, मैं काम क्या करूं, है ना. तो she then she told me कि listen, what you will do is you maintain an Excel sheet, and you maintain a mood chart all throughout the day,
Yeah.
सुबह, afternoon, evening, night.
Yeah. Oh.
And I did it, and
Huh.
she told me कि you maintain this for 2 weeks, okay, and then you get back to me. So this was like an interesting exercise even for me, because I was getting to understand myself even more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
mean, like, in many people's cases, it might be similar, because even I had got the same exercise to maintain like a mood
mood
chart
development.
of day of on a daily basis. So I mean, yeah, I mean, their methods are quite good. I must agree. And okay, so so this was like during your therapy. So by any chance, were your parents involved with the counselor during your college days? Like before, like before
What,
the pandemic when you were in Pune, sort of.
what do you mean involve?
I mean, like, did they talk to your counselor or did they have a meeting with your counselor?
No, never.
Oh,
My mom has talked to a couple of times.
huh,
She told my mom, she had called ma'am to inform her that I have an epilepsy attack and all that.
huh. I mean,
So
but other
just a
than
normal
that,
conversation.
no.
No, they never talked. Uh,
Oh,
but my mom has always known. Even the first time when I was going to Tyra, she told my mom knew that I am properly going to take therapy.
hmm. Right, right, right. I mean, that was nice because, like in my case, when they had a meeting with mom and all, so there was a time, right, when so because like what had happened in my case, like I for some reason I was lucky enough in on their part to get access to multiple counselors when I was uh, getting my sessions from them. So one of them was Dr. Path Kali, and he was like one of the best counselors in terms of logic and advice. Like आपने जो बोला कि simple advice देते हैं, so he was like that. यार simple है, just calm down and just implement it. But what happened in their case, like you know all that email bullshit, and they used to delay a lot. Like my sessions were delayed for like once someone in SSLA was committing suicide and they had to rush, of course, to save that kid because किसको चाहिए ये सब. So my sessions were delayed by almost 2 months in their case. So what happened, and once what happened was, then after that 2 months a session was placed that okay, I need some help, and my mom came to Pune to check up on me because being from Bombay, uh, Pune is closer, right? So just my mom came to visit, and I told that uh, I have a meeting with the counselor, so I'm going there. She just barged in, and sir allowed her to sit. That and he wasn't also like listen, ma'am, this meeting is just for him right now. We can and you will also have to email if you want to have a meeting with him. Nothing of that sort. She just sat. Sir offered her and Path sir was very generous because he used to like give out coffee and then some biscuits and all that thing. So he offered her coffee and everything, and they had a session on roasting me sort of like ये क्या करता है यार, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, ऐसा नहीं वैसा नहीं. So I'm like, sir, you got manipulated by the parent. Like where is uh, your protocol when it came to my parents? Like how did you even allow her to enter? So like this sort of manipulation kind of triggered me off at a point because I'm like यार कुछ तो झोल किया इन्होंने, कुछ तो झोल है. So that like that was the triggering point for me to not like the counseling services. I mean, I know like for me, like in our case, it is like a complete polar opposite situation where you like actually benefited and I am the one still struggling. But here is the thing, like I just wanted to have a discussion from both ends. So that was the reason for this podcast, right? So,
Mm.
so what do you think? Like, so what was your opinion on this? Like, isn't it a bit of a manipulation on their part?
True.
Because in
I
their case, I
feel,
mean, हाँ बोलो बोलो.
see, first of all, now I'm a complete spectator of your situation, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But again, uh, from a neutral point, what I see is being a counselor, you are not supposed to get carried away by parents' remarks on the client, right?
yeah, exactly.
So that is one thing. Now, again, we don't. So, did you have any other sessions with that counselor after that?
Yeah, I had other sessions, and and I don't know, like somehow Girija ma'am tried to make me understand that see, Partha was right over here. You are wrong for putting the blame on him. So I'm like, wait, what? Where did your email protocol go all of a sudden?
Nice.
So I was, because I mean, of course, like I just apologized to make the situation calm, but I was pretty sure that I mean I feel that sir was like, oh shit, I fucked up in this guy's situation. Now I should be available for him anytime. So whenever my mood used to go down or I used to get angry and all that, I used to just call him every single
Mm.
time to calm myself down because I'm like, no, first of all, you have screwed up in this situation, so now you
Mm.
have to look into my situation because it might lead to some event.
Mm.
Rather, it might end up in me harming myself or me harming another person because unlike I mean I am like one of those hyper ass person. So the but, but but then like here is where I feel skew lacks, right? So like what,
Mm.
yeah, because
See, it has, I agree, there are a lot of drawbacks. I have seen, I've always noticed this. There is always like a 1 hour session that you get,
yeah, and that one
right?
hour is never enough, to
That
be
1 hour
honest.
is never enough, number one. And number two, every time I've gone for the session physically, whenever suppose अगर 4 से 5 बजे तक का सेशन हो, तो आई हैव नोटिस दैट 5 बजने के 10 मिनट पहले से ही द कॉन्वर्सेशन इज रश्ड.
Yeah, yeah,
जल्दी जल्दी जल्दी
same,
जल्दी
same, same.
conversation is rushed. जल्दी जल्दी they are packing their bags, shutting their files while speaking to me.
Yeah.
ठीक है, मतलब that is that they are so much in a hurry,
5 बज के 5
as if
मिनट की
the
बस
गाड़ी
पकड़नी
is
है
waiting.
उनको. Yeah, and
हाँ
yeah,
हाँ.
because in my case also, like okay, like I will see, even if I disagree with you, like at most of the points where the credit is due, they should be given it. So like in my case, right, they had delayed their meetings quite a lot of time, so as a compensation they had crossed the meeting over 2 hours. So I
हम्म.
mean, in that case, it's nice because okay, आप कुछ ना कुछ तो कर रहे हो. But like this rushed kind of conversation, I'm like, no यार, कुछ ना कुछ तो आप झोल कर रहे हो.
Hmm.
Like
So you're
because
not
like
supposed to rush a conversation like that.
yeah, exactly. And like 1 hour is not at all enough. Like because if you are so skilled, have the conversation in such a way that okay, 1 hour में this points you have to cover and just do it in that time frame. That's it. Give the homework and just leave.
Hmm.
Because what in and again in my case also, I had to wait for like half an hour for another patient. Then I got the half an hour cut. कि oh, I'm sorry, your time is getting over. I'm like, तूने तो रुकाया था ना मेरे को आधा घंटे से. So how the hell
Exactly.
are you making me rush now?
Heavily understaffed. Heavily understaffed.
That yeah, that's what like, and I have got like into this conversation that I can understand, but please keep some stuff with yourself because like at this
So,
rate you are not going to help any student, right?
exactly.
Yeah, and then like at a point, what happened was like during the lockdown only, I stopped counseling altogether, and there was a roller coaster ride of events that had taken place. That internship, then some other situations at home, then everything was going haywire, and all those devils were coming inside me, right? And I was getting angry as fuck, but I saw this video by Spoopoo, unscripted, and they had shown a video on demonic possessions. Like if you go to UP side, they have these people who just go nuts and they are just shaking their bodies, having I mean not to
Fits.
not huh?
Fits.
fits into 100, like not to joke about your situation of epilepsy, but
No, I
their
get it.
epilepsy attack feels like माथा चढ़ गई है बोलते हैं ना.
हाँ हाँ हाँ, पता है.
So that kind of situation, and I'm like, wait, I am getting into such kind of situation, and I really need to calm myself down. So I guess I have to switch back to professional therapy because this is not helping. So
Hmm.
when I called again, is this an emergency? I'm like, इसीलिए तो call किया है आपको, नहीं तो नहीं
Hmm.
करता.
Hmm.
So and they were like, okay, then they reached out to Taira ma'am, then she reached out to me, and then we had quite a few sessions. But like now I just completely like got out of that queue system because they were getting so much delays that I was like, नहीं यार, इससे अच्छा तो self healing ही है.
Hmm.
Because that delays, like, if you are really understaffed, right,
Delays
like,
are fatal. Delays are so fatal.
yeah, because आई मीन लाइक अगर तुम लोग 2 हफ्ते बाद बोल रहे हो वो बच्चा 2 हफ्ते में कुछ ना कुछ तो कर रहा है एंड आफ्टर 2 वीक्स यू आर लाइक आई एम सॉरी वी आर डीलिंग वी हैव अ
Hmm.
लॉट ऑफ सेशंस हियर एंड देयर तो फिर बोलते क्यों हो 2 हफ्ते बाद दैट इज
Hmm.
माई argument to that because and of course that is the reason of being heavily understaffed and understaffed ठीक है मतलब that is one part बट वो स्टाफ को बिठाने का जगह भी नहीं है कॉलेज के पास बैठेंगे किधर लाइक इफ यू नो इन आवर बिल्डिंग राइट दे हैव दिस छोटा सा केबिन अंडर द स्टेयर्स
Yeah.
लाइक व्हाट like
Right.
compared to that SSLA का campus is better because they have like proper cabins for the counseling situation because, because so like here is the irony right like if you are promoting mental health and y'all don't have the means to promote that so what is the use promoting it.
You are basically being very ironic.
Yeah, it is because and so this brings me to the fourth point of profession. So basically counselor का क्या काम क्या होता है giving an advice at a professional level right and in and in both our cases we have a very good bunch of friends in your case they help you go to the counselor and they and I'm pretty sure they must have helped you giving proper advice and healing you at times when you were at your lowest same is with me so the basically a counselor like after all that I have been through it feels as if I have been like बेसिकली आप किसी को पैसा दे रहे हो आपका फ्रेंड बनने का इज व्हाट आई फील बिकॉज ऑफ दिस सिचुएशन
Okay, I see. But I
राइट सो
feel
व्हाट डू यू
that
थिंक आई मीन
what
या द डिग्री ऑफ एडवाइस इज very different in both the situations sometimes your friend can also say चल दारू पीते हैं ये करते हैं but and I'm lucky to have that कि मेरे केस में ऐसा नहीं हुआ है but uh, what I feel is counselor is like a अगर फ्रेंडशिप की डिग्री लेनी हो तो वो काउंसलर की होती है sort of.
see, what for me, I do not agree with you at this point
Yeah,
because you see, first of all, you need emotional healing,
right,
right?
yeah,
Emotional, mental healing.
yeah,
And for that, you definitely need somebody trained in that way. अगर
right,
तुम्हें हाथ पे चोट लगी है तो तुम्हें उसे ठीक कराने के लिए एक
डॉक्टर
डॉक्टर की
के
जरूरत है.
या
अभी सपोज सपोज तुम्हें एक ऐसी चोट लगी है, ठीक है, जो सिर्फ एक डॉक्टर ही ठीक कर सकता है, बट यू आर जस्ट गोइंग टू योर फ्रेंड्स एंड यू आर लाइक भाई क्या खून निकल रहा है, थोड़ा देख लेना, देखो अजीब सा
राइट
कुछ होकर रख, एंड दे आर गोइंग टू यूज layman ways, right?
हम्म
And same in the ways of counseling. First of all, okay, that it's okay if you are upset, you need a friend to talk to, so you release thoda sa burden from out of you, but you cannot
या
use your friend as your therapist, right?
राइट
Because first of all, your friend is not trained as a therapist.
या
Second of all, even your friend has a lot of stuff going on, so you
Right.
cannot dump your emotional frustration onto your friend,
Right.
and because that eventually takes a toll on your friendship.
Hmm. Exactly.
Now, in terms of taking help from therapy, therapy in itself means healing, right?
Right.
And the good thing about counselors is that they are healing you with words.
Hmm. Exactly.
And I feel that is the, that is the element of spectacle. Because
Yeah.
say you can go to your friend, in one occasion or in two occasions to feel better, but
Yeah.
for a therapist you can go to them regularly, right?
Hmm.
And that way you don't even have to depend on any other friend to कि यार मुझे से बात करना है वरना I will not feel okay kind of a
Right.
thing.
Right. Right.
So I feel that is there. And
Hmm.
and to be very honest, for me, I am such a person. I myself am so burdened with things inside my head.
Yeah.
ठीक है, if somebody अभी कुछ दिन पहले there was this one friend who was just about to start to emotionally vent out. uh, I just told them, listen, I do not have the mental space to take any emotional burden right now. So please don't share this with me.
Right.
I told them it might sound rude, but it is the truth.
Yeah, it is the
भाई
truth. I
मैं
mean, point
खुद
blank कभी ना कभी बोलना पड़ेगा.
बोलना पड़ता है because you see I cannot become somebody else's emotional punch bag when my own state
Yeah.
is like bad.
Hmm.
So I told them clearly and they understood, right?
Yeah.
Now, but again, they wanted to vent out, so who will they vent out to?
Yeah.
Plus, it's not only just venting out, it's also therapy is molding your perspective in a way so
Hmm.
that you are not, say, always subject to pain. You
Right.
are not always suffering.
Hmm.
जिंदगी में तो hardships सबकी होती है, right?
Right.
But I feel that therapy is going to help you endure those hardships.
Yeah.
So that is my point of view. So I guess we are going to agree to disagree here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. To an extent, I like definitely agree, but unless the counselors, I mean,
Yes, the
in
counselor has to be effective. Yes.
yeah, it has to be he or she has to be effective, because like to a perspective when I went for that counseling situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the the civil counselor basically,
Mm-hmm.
that also kind of screwed me up because I was undergoing medicines and everything like that. So also that kind of triggered, like I'm like, okay, I'm done with therapy, but I have to switch to it again. But
Mm-hmm.
because me, I personally sometimes find a lot of cons in the situation rather than the pros, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So Skew was like a full-on display of pros, that we are ironic, of cons that we are ironic, but we like to promote mental health. We are understaffed. We are emergency will be according to us, like
Mm-hmm.
that sort of situation. But then, yeah, so that was like it in my case. So you are still in your, I think you are in your third year, right?
Yes, I am.
So final year basically. So साथ में graduate हो रहे हैं.
Oh, nice, nice. Great,
Yeah,
great.
like even I'm in my fourth year, so
Okay,
I
okay,
mean,
okay.
so that's why I said that. But then, so I guess for your fifth wala point, I thought that you were in the other batch. This was Samida's batch.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
Uh, 1 year, nahi. 2 years junior.
Oh no, Samida was in my batch, like Pranali and all those people.
Okay, okay, right.
Yeah,
Mm.
so they graduated last year.
हाँ.
So I mean, I guess it brings to the end of the video.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks a lot, first of all, Deeksha, for joining me and making this first podcast fruitful and agreeing to do this with me. And it was an amazing time talking to you. And let's hope we stay in touch.
Yeah, that I am also very thankful to you for this is the
Yeah,
first time I'm doing something like this.
yeah,
And of course, mental health is a very important topic to be speaking.
yeah,
So
because
well, it was great having this conversation with you.
yeah,
So yeah, thank you so much.
yeah. I mean, and I hope to stay in touch with you, and we can do further projects like this later
एकदम
on.
एकदम
So,
एकदम
yeah.
पक्का.